Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to Nerds on Culture with Stormy B Man for this Monday, March 18th, 2024. And this is number 78 in a series of Nerds on Culture. And this one is being called What Do You Collect? Part 2. Yeah, we have a follow up show to one that we just did a couple weeks ago where we talked about collectibles and what we personally collect as nerds out here, my brother Drew Titan and myself. And for some of you, you guys may be able to touch in on this theme as well because collectibles can be anything from material things, books, music, a wide range. Some people collect cars. I mean, those that you drive, as well as the little model kits and the ones that you can put on the shelf. I mean, there's just a diverse way to consider yourself as a collector. Some people collect shoes and clothing or something like that, jewelry, a number of things. But the whole point of it all is that when you've invested in something like that, you take the time out of your working schedule and the things that you do that you are obligated for, and it's a little slice of life for yourself. And you should always be able to take that time out for for yourself because it's important, especially as a working person in this life in existence, because we spend a great deal of time on the grind and taking care of our families and such. So a person should have some type of outlet like that. And that's another part of what we do in this show as we celebrate and focus in on that. So with no further ado, let me introduce my partner in crime here. We got Drew Titan in the building. And Drew, I wanted to ask you, if you had anything to add on to what I was just saying about that, because it doesn't have to necessarily end with my comments, opening remarks regarding being a collector.
Well, isn't it strange how you naturally do certain things that you like, and you didn't even know it had a name. You just ended up doing it. And you start out doing that when you're young. You turn around and say, man, I have a lot of comic books. Oh, you're a collector. What is that? Well, you collect comics. Well, I guess I do. It's a hobby. And you unintentionally do it and you don't have it, it has no name. And I'm cool with it. No one could shame me for it. I have an imagination, and it's a hobby for me. And having hobbies keeps you well grounded. It keeps your faculties in tune, actually. And it's cool for you as a person to have these hobbies, something that you can call your own. The issue with a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of our sisters, they don't have hobbies. When I was coming up, I wasn't like in mama basement or, just not going outside. I was outside like everybody else. But when I came home, there's only so much video games I could play. I told y'all I draw. I have my own little comic book universe. That's what I do. I have an imagination. You know what I'm saying? It keeps you young. I'm very creative. I write short stories. But a lot of the girls when I was coming up with, their hobby was being around other friends and going out every weekend to spend money that they didn't have to impress people that they didn't know. And it was ridiculous. And I'm like, I'm not with this. You know, when you're young, it's like, I don't have much money. What do you want from me? How about this? When you figure it out, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna draw my little comic books or whatever. I'm gonna play my video game or whatever. And that morphed into me collecting certain things. I collect comic books. I collected models. Well, the toys from Todd McFarlane. I have a collection of them. I have a lot of them. And Dragon Ball Z from Japan, the toys, I collected them. They're all in their boxes unopened. But it's a healthy habit. You know I see Mike 202. A lot of people collect shoes, actual shoes, or sneakers. I've seen that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's your thing. And, stand on it. As long as it's a healthy habit that you have that's not hindering you, that's not making you broke, nothing like that, man. Exactly, Young Hollywood. He says imaginative kids end up being rich kids. All of these things that we take advantage of right now, this internet stuff and cell phones, this came from the imagination of a kid. You understand? Watch the old Star Treks with Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner. Those are flip phones they were using. Kirk out. And then go to Star Trek Next Generation. They were pressing it on their fleet badge, right? The intercoms right here on their chest. That's called Bluetooth, y'all. So science fiction becomes science fact. You understand? So it's great having an imagination. It's great collecting stuff. Keeps you grounded. And I feel bad for the people that don't have hobbies. You got to be outside. You got to be spending money. You got to be drinking. You got to be smoking. I ain't got no hobbies, but you got to have that goddamn marijuana.
Let me say this, and not to go off on any tangents, but when you have fatherless homes, and there's no one to guide the children a certain kind of way. And when I say children, I'm talking both sexes, girls and boys, because the dad is typically the breadwinner, and he's the protector and everything, but there's typically something that he can provide under the roof to give the kids a sense of direction and focus. And a lot of times it may start off like, and my dad made us do this and made us do that, and we hated it or whatever. And it turns out that it's such a part of your life that when you look back on your childhood, you have fond memories of it, and it brought some type of focus and attachment to your lives, and in some kind of way enriched your lives. Now, for those that didn't have that, I'm not, raining on you in any kind of way, because that aspect can still be found in other ways and supplemented in other ways. And those who have had the opportunity to gravitate toward that, it's a wonderful thing, because it puts you still on a track of having a dialed in focus. I remember when I was a kid and I would play with my friends in the neighborhood, and we have like maybe some action figures. Like, you remember a couple of weeks back, we were talking about the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip and all of that. Yeah. And like my friend, he would have a couple of different characters that I didn't have, and we all get together and we'd be outside playing. But you know what we didn't do? We didn't say, hey man, let me borrow your G.I. Joe, or whatever. No, we didn't do that. We played together. But what I hated was those who would try to do that, because there were kids who would do that. And it wasn't because they couldn't afford it or nothing like that. It was just like, I'm sorry, even at young ages, kids be hating, it's like, they're like, hey man, let me borrow your Pontiac GTO Hot Wheel car. And you be like, no man, that's my favorite car. Oh man, you stingy, bro.
Yeah. Trying to shame you.
And then if you did, you never see it again. Or they break it or something. And you be like, man, I knew I shouldn't have let him take my car. So it's like, again, but the people who did that, and some of y'all are adults out here now today. You did it because you didn't have the same interest that person had, and you tried to hurt them in a way that, even though to have a mindset like that is really bad, but it's like, this is if it's not for you, it's not for you. You know what I mean? But that was an experience growing up. And if you didn't experience that at all, you're lucky. Because some of us experienced it, man.
You just reminded me of something that happened, and it almost got very ugly, and adults got involved. And they got real stupid. Just a short story. And it was over a video game. A friend of mine had some friends over, and there was always, when I went to a friend's neighborhood, there were other dudes that he knew that I didn't know because they didn't go to school with us. So, you know, one of his games turned up missing. Right? And he called me. He said, "Yo, did you take such and such one?" I said, "Nah." I said, "You lent it to me before. I gave it back. Why would I take it again?" He said, "Well, it's missing." So I ain't take it. So that was the end of it. And then I had a phone ring, and then my mother calls me into the room. She says, "Yo, did you take some?" I said, "I already told him no." She's like, "Well, I just got the phone with his mom. And he's going crazy looking for that video game." It was a Nintendo game. And back then, $40 for a game was pretty pricey. I said, I don't have it. I swear to God, I don't do things like that. My parents, you don't steal. And if you're caught doing something, I had the type of parents that would literally beat you down. Right? Come to find out, one of the guys that he had over from his neighborhood, and it turns out it was this Jamaican kid that was friends of his friends that he just moved around the hood, slid off with the game. And a couple of days later, I go to the block. He's standing on his porch. I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like breathing heavy. And I'm like, what's up? I was like, "Okay, I take it you can't have company today." He said, "Nah, my dad's on his way home." And as he said that, he pulls up. He gets out. His dad was a big, burly dude with a beard. And he looked at me aggressively. And I looked at him. He said, "Oh, it's you," because he knew me. And he said, "Come on." And I'm like, "What's happening?" He was like, "I'll see you later." So I'm nosy. So I let them walk off. And I kind of like followed them. And they walked all the way up the block. And I kind of knew where they were going. Don't you know they went to this kid's house? And this big dude banged on the door, and this yardie came out with the big hat. And what go on there? My son don't take nothing. He said, "Yo, he took my fucking son," because all the other kids ratted him out. He said, "No, he took it. We ain't take it. He took it." And I'm sitting there like, his wife, my friend's mother called my mother to ask me, like, to double check. And I said, "Yo, this kid, I ain't know that kid." And I thought back when I'm sitting down, I'm watching him, and he's like casing the joint, looking around, looked at some records, went through the records, and I'm watching him like, this kid's odd. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it was none of my business. I told my mother, I said, there was a kid, his other friends, I didn't know them like that, but he knew them. But there was another kid there that they just met. And you know what your mama tell you about bringing kids that you don't know into the house because of that. And the dude came, dude grabbed a machete and came outside. So his father stepped off the porch, pulled out a 9. I said, "Oh, shoot." And I stepped back, and they didn't know I was there. I stepped all the way back around the corner. I'm looking like, "Yo, is somebody about to die out here?" So dude stepped back and closed the door. Well, safe to say, my buddy got his game back. Because it turns out the kid stole the game, and the father was out there. He didn't know what was going on. But when someone comes and knocks on the door and say, "Yo, your son stole from me," "My son no steal," and slammed the door in the kid's face. He didn't even want to hear it. And it almost got his ass shot. And they were like new to the neighborhood at the time. And then he figured out, oh, wait, my son did take something. So my friend got his game back that night, but he almost got his ass shot over a Nintendo, a $40 video game.
That's crazy. And you know what?
Whew.
the boy who stole, he should have been dealt with by that dad, you know. And I'm not talking about like beat him down or not, but I'm talking about like
Should have been reprimanded.
You causing all of this stuff instead of fessing up, saying, "Yeah, Dad, I took it." You causing all that. He could have lost his dad.
Right.
You know,
it became deeper than the video game at that point.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But see, this is the whole thing, and it's like, you know. But yeah, that's one heck of a story, man. That's one heck of a story.
But that same friend to this day got a stack of Nintendo games, a whole bunch that I don't even know if those damn things work anymore. But he has literally over like 120 games. They just sitting in his attic right now. Crazy. Over a video game. His father almost that was crazy, man. I'll never forget that. That was crazy.
I want to say salute to the fam in the chat, because we're cooking on this evening, and we got some treats for you guys this evening that we're gonna share regarding what we collect, Drew and I. So you want to open up with something that you want to share?
Yeah. This just because, you know, when we talk, we get to cooking and the show goes fast.
Yes, it does.
Speaking of video games, that's why I'm going to keep it. One of the things I collected, I figured out, like, every time like a new game system comes out that I care about, usually it leads with a video game, and I say, okay, if this game comes out for this system, I'm gonna purchase the system. And I'm a big Marvel guy. You know, DC's okay, but I'm more of a Marvel guy. So everybody in the chat, y'all know about this right here. Marvel versus Capcom 3. There's a whole history with this. All right, there's a whole history with this. There's also Japanese games. Capcom versus Tenchinoku. That's a whole nother conversation. But this is one of my collections. I don't have them all in handy, but I'm a huge Street Fighter guy. I go back when it was Street Fighter 1 in the arcade. And then Street Fighter 2 came out. And then when Marvel vs. Capcom, when that series came out, it was after Marvel vs. Children of the Atom. When Marvel vs. Capcom came out with the new graphics and it looked like cartoons, I was hooked. Playing it in the arcade and everything else, I was hooked. And PS3, this one right here. This one right here, when it came out for the PS3, this was the new graphics. And once you put Deadpool in this, it was just comical. This game it's amazing. Y'all know the intro on this game, right? So you feel safe playing the intro of this video game or nah?
You know what? I wouldn't mind, but you know, I already got that strike, so
yeah, I don't
know how they gonna act with me, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
we know even the general is going through something right now. So
yeah. What about gameplay? You think they got a hard on for that, or you don't want to touch nothing?
I really don't want to risk anything, man, because I got a strike right now. I'm operating under a strike.
What about pictures, still shots? Think that's safe?
Yeah, still shots are fine. If you want to upload some still shots, we can do that.
Yeah, let's get a still shot up here. Okay, this is cool. Yeah, this is cool right here. This game, listen, I'm a grown man and I had a full-time life. So when I do decide to play these games, I have to know I'm going to be home and I have nothing else to do, or I'm homesick, or I'm on vacation. Now these are still shots from this game right here. You see Chris Redfield from Resident Evil. He just knocked out Wolverine. But the these are the playable characters. These are the playable characters, all of them from Capcom or from Marvel Comics. One of my favorite characters is to use was Super Skrull. Right here, Killick, the Super Skrull. He's in there. Stormy on the upper right-hand side next to She-Hulk. You know who that is?
Is that Moon Knight?
No, that will be Taskmaster.
Taskmaster, okay.
The real Taskmaster, not from that god-awful Black Widow movie. That's Taskmaster. Great, man. That's a great character. We all know Spider-Man, Hulk, Hawkeye, Ken Ryu, Albert Wesker, Shumagorath, Rocket Raccoon, Magneto, Iron Fist, and Ghost Rider. When they added them, that was insane. Iron Fist and Ghost Rider. I'm like, man, no Luke Cage? You know how it is. But you sit down and play these games, and you'll turn around. You'll sit down and play them at 12 noon. You turn around and be like, God, I gotta go like get something to eat. It'd be 4 o'clock. You'd be like, damn, I'm gonna sit here this long. It's like a time warp, man. But this game is fun, and like I said, man, when you have hobbies, and you have hobbies, and you collect, you know, there's no feeling like that. And only other collectors will be able to relate. They'll be able to relate. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say I'm a game collector. I collect genres like the Marvel vs. Capcom, the Street Fighter things. I've collected. And I'm just talking about my game collection here, because after this, I'm gonna show you the other games that I collect. I love survival horror, so y'all know where I'm going with that. You know what I mean? So I just want to start it off with that. And yeah, Rashid, fair use, I don't trust it, not anymore. Not with what YouTube is doing. YouTube is really being like weird with certain things, but that's for us to deal with. Yeah, and it's not only us. It's Black content creators in different areas in YouTube. But you know, when I ain't gonna show my hand, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, one of the tidbits I like to start out, because like you can go with the games this evening. I'm gonna go with my library of books. And one of the books that I have, everybody knows that, you know, Stormy is into his Kung Fu movies and everything. And there was no greater impact from the Kung Fu movies than the legendary Bruce Lee. And I have a book here that was printed in 1974. That was the first biography on he. Written by the author Alex Ben Block, who also ironically got one of the first telephone recorded interviews with Bruce Lee when he was filming Way of the Dragon. Mm-hmm. And I think he was in the midst of a fight scene where he was choreographing with Chuck Norris and stuff in Hong Kong. And Alex had called him on the telephone. It's actually out there on YouTube somewhere. Somebody has the full interview where Alex sat down for almost 20 minutes and talked with Bruce Lee. He was on his lunch break, so he didn't even get to eat his food because he was taking time out to do this interview. And Alex Ben Block had told him that from that interview, the interview would appear in, I think he said, Esquire magazine or something like that at the time. And little would it be known that Bruce Lee would be dead almost a year from when they did that interview. But this book, I have it here. My copy of it is old and battered, but it's still together. And it's called The Legend of Bruce Lee by Alex Ben Block. The small caption at the top of the page says, "For the first time anywhere, the sensational life and strange death of the king of Kung Fu." And this book here, man, is a classic. If you were to find it in pristine condition, it's worth like hundreds of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But this book at the time of printing, it was $1.25.
It's worth a couple of hundred now, right?
Yeah.
Do you still read it occasionally?
I haven't read it in a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a very good read because Alex Ben Block went to Hong Kong, and one of the things he did as part of research for this book, he had a long visit with Run Run Shaw of the Shaw Brothers, because they were still prominent, over Golden Harvest Studios where Bruce Lee worked at the time. And he interviewed he interviewed Run Run Shaw, who gave him a lot of information. And I think one of the productions that was going on at that time when he was there, and it's in the book, was the Seven Brothers and their sister meet Dracula. If anybody ever know those Kung Fu movies, man, that was a Shaw Brothers Hammer co-production. And part of the reason that Shaw Brothers was doing co-productions was because Bruce Lee's Golden Harvest did a co-production with Warner Brothers for Enter the Dragon. And that was the first time that there was a Chinese studio hooking up with a European or American or Western studio. So Bruce Lee broke a lot of ground, man. And having books like this, like I said, it talked about a lot of what's going on in his life, how he came up, because he was a child film star. A lot of people didn't know that. He made about somewhere between 18 and 20 films from the time he was 16 to the time he was like 18 years old. And he returned to the U.S. To retrieve his U.S. citizenship because he was born here. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is, like, in 1971, when he went back to Hong Kong to try to maybe drum up a film career again, because he was trying to feed his family. He was having these small roles in Hollywood, and they weren't giving him a lot of play because he was Asian. And it's like Asians back then got very small roles, if any at all, in Hollywood.
They were typecast.
And if you ever notice, the roles that he did get, he did not play the traditional subservient Asian or whatever. His roles were always kind of cool, kind of hip. His roles, his guys that he played, his characters were strong characters, even for at that time. And that was groundbreaking and trend-setting. Even when he did the Green Hornet TV show with Van Williams, Kato was supposed to be like Britt Reed's manservant in his home. That's how he was in the comics and everything. And the original Japanese character Kato, Bruce Lee was Chinese, of course. Bruce wouldn't play him as a subservient character. He played him as a on the even scale character. Like when Britt Reed was not dressed up as the Green Hornet and he's in there, Kato wore the white butler shirt and jacket, but he didn't act like a servant. Like if Britt Reed was sitting in the room talking with some people, Kato would come in there and sit on the desk and join in the conversation. It was stuff like that many people didn't realize. Bruce Lee was setting a new trend for Asians in film and television. And he was the first. And that was before he became a Kung Fu film star.
Right.
When he went back to Hong Kong in 1971, looking for work, he went to Golden Harvest Studios, and Golden Harvest always contracted their actors and actresses. They signed long deals, like 7-year contracts or whatever, and they stayed in dormitories that were built on the movie lot.
Mm-hmm.
And Run Run Shaw guarded against his actors and actresses getting married and stuff. So it was basically like college, you know. And they held auditions every year, with hundreds of people would pay auditions to try to get a job at Shaw Brothers Studio. And at the end of that audition, they would only select like a handful of people out of hundreds. So they kept it very exclusive. So when Bruce Lee went back there looking for work, Run Run Shaw was like, yeah, we've seen what you did in America, and that's kind of nice and everything, but you know how we do things here. Plus, you've been on you've been on TV over there, but here everybody knows you as a kid, Lei Xu Long, the little dragon that was in the movies. And they didn't know about him being a kung fu man now, right? So it's like, because he's a man, he's like 29, 30 years old now, and they remember him when he's 18 and younger. So they thought of him as the kid that was in the films. So Run Run Shaw wouldn't give him a shot. So when Raymond Chow found out he was in Hong Kong, he sent some people to talk to him when he went back to America. And the rest is kind of history. They offered him a 2-picture deal. Those 2 pictures ended up being The Big Boss and Fist of Fury. Mm-hmm. And the rest became history. Run Run, when he was interviewed by Alex Ben Block in the book, he said, who knew? You know, he's like, he had no foresight that Bruce would become an overnight star like that or whatever. He was just another one of us. You know what I'm saying? It was like, but fate struck a different way or whatever. And there is information out there that by the time, right around the time that he passed away, Bruce had a deal in place where he was going to film a traditional costume epic with the Shaw Brothers. You know, the costume epics is what they call the period pieces, where they wore the ponytails,
yes,
and you know, dressed in the traditional robes and stuff. Yep. Bruce Lee did photo sessions where he was going to star in films like that. So I have a book that I just picked up. I was talking with Drew before we went live, and
watch this.
Share this image. This is the package that the book came in, okay? And it's a Ziploc little bag pouch that this book came in. And the book is called Bruce Lee Captions. And this is volume number 2. I missed volume number 1 because it sold out. But the cover of the book shows Bruce Lee in the traditional Shaw Brothers type.
Look at that.
You see that? Where he's got the ponytail? That's what he was gonna do, you guys. This is what you missed. This
Can
is
you
what
imagine
he's gonna
running
do.
around on a film with the deadly venoms in some movie? Can you imagine that? That's almost had it, man.
He was gonna do. It was September of '73 that he had wrote in his journal. He left that month available for doing a Shaw Brothers film. And this is a black and white that came with the book, that y'all could see Bruce Lee dressed in, again, those traditional robes with the ponytail and everything. Could you imagine Bruce Lee playing in a Shaw Brothers film, man?
Oh, man.
We just missed that. We just missed it.
I wanted to see him versus, what's the actor's name that played Toad? He was always using his hands and fists. He never used weapons in his... He's a real mantis boxer in real life.
Lo Mein.
Lo Mein. Can you imagine him versus Lo Mein on the screen? Oh, man. Come on, bro. We almost
I thought I would share that with you guys, but there's one more thing I want to share before I let Drew come back. There's a second book that was produced in 1974. It was a biography written. It came after The Legend of Bruce Lee. This is a repurchase for me. I found it on eBay because I lost my original copy, but I had the original copy from 1974. This one is in pretty good shape. I was able to pick it up for $12 on eBay. The book was $2.50 when I bought it back in 1974. I was a kid, you know, but it's called Bruce Lee, King of Kung Fu. And this was the second biography book written about him. And the authors of the book, Felix Dennis and Don Atieo, these two men both went over to Hong Kong. They did similar to Alex Ben Block. They went over there and talked to Shaw Brothers. They talked to Betty Ting Pei, Bruce Lee's mistress. They talked to some of the stars that played in the studio films with him and everything. This is the back cover of the book. Great color photo of him from Enter the Dragon. And this book is very revealing. It has a lot of information in there. There's just pages and pages with photos about Bruce Lee, his films, and where he was going in the career at the time that he passed away. Funeral pictures are in here. Even they couldn't help themselves. They put a photo of him in his final casket or whatnot. But this is one of those books, very if you're a collector like I am, it means a lot, you know. So those two books that I'm sharing with you guys, I'm just letting you know that I've been collecting books on Bruce Lee since I was about 6 or 7 years old. So that's how long it's been. I know a whole bunch about the guy, and you guys don't really ever hear me talking about him too much. And I hear these people, they got YouTube channels out here. There's a couple of men who have YouTube channels, Hector Martinez and Charles Damiano. Those two men are collectors supreme, and they really honor and pay homage to Bruce Lee a lot. Those two men are very respectable. If you're interested in them, I maybe will come back later and put the link in the description for tonight's show for those two men, where you can find out more about collecting on Bruce Lee, because they have done it tremendously. But my knowledge is on par with them because we're all of that same peer group age-wise. So we all kind of came up with him the same way. And though we never knew, those two know each other, but I'm starting to get acquainted with them. But being, you know, across the US, that we all had that same interest, just like Drew and I talk about all the time. You never knew there was other people, because now we have social media to find out there's people out there just like you that had the same interests like you and things of that nature. So this is why we do what we do. Yeah. But yeah, that's, I'll come back with some more stuff. But I want to go back, because this is probably people in the chat don't know this in reference to Bruce Lee. I want to go back to the Green Hornet and Kato. Yeah. There was a time where the Green Hornet and Kato, because they had their own TV show, they crossed over with Batman and Robin. Yes. And there were three episodes that they crossed over. Right. 3. Now, I don't recall, but when they first meet, always when the heroes first meet, it's always drama before they team up. I want you to share the story about when Batman and Robin first met Green Hornet and Kato, and why the fight looked like it did with Burt Ward. Man, it's funny how you mentioned that. When the producers had written the show, because Batman was first, of course. Mm-hmm. The Green Hornet came second and was riding the coattails of Batman, which is why they appeared on Batman's show and whatnot. But the Green Hornet wasn't as campy as Batman. It was a little more serious. A little more serious, you know? And people liked the Green Hornet because Kato was a firecracker, bro. You know, the Green Hornet had his little gadgets and stuff, the wasp thing, dart that'll sting you, and the cane that'll shoot the laser and stuff. They drove that car, the Black Beauty. You know, they were quite a pair. But Kato was doing this style of fighting that nobody has seen before. Now, you could easily say, oh, what is he doing? Karate? But no, Kato was doing something that America had never seen before, called Kung Fu.
Yep.
And the way Bruce Lee pronounced it, he pronounced it gung fu, like with a G instead of a K. And when he did this in action scenes, they were like really stunned at him, you know, because he was so fast, he was an expert, and it was something new. But when they crossed over to Batman, they were going to have the heroes square off. Well, Batman was going to fight Green Hornet and Kato was going to fight Robin. Well, the producers was like, when they wrote the script, they had said that Kato was going to get beat up by Robin and knocked over and stuff like this and everything. And Bruce Lee had read that script and he was like, man, this is some bull crap. He's like, this is impossible. People are not going to believe this. On our show, I'm kicking butt. And then you're going to have Robin, who's like the old John Wayne.
Yeah, it's too much.
Damn, you know, he gonna do that to me when I'm kicking and I'm jumping around and doing all these. So Bruce Lee got mad and he slammed the script down. He was yelling and screaming and he slammed the door. He left the studio lot. He peeled out of the parking lot. They was like, dang, he gone. It's like he left. He was mad. He was in a tizzy. So they were like, the producers was like, we got to get him back here. We got to get him back here. Bruce Lee was like, man, I ain't coming back. He's like, forget that. Robin can't beat Kato. He said, no way. The audiences is not even going to believe that.
That's right.
So the producers rewrote the script and they made it where they had a standoff.
Yeah.
Where they both got a couple of punches in on each other. And then, you know, they were made to hold up, stop fighting, and they were just facing off against each other.
Kato was throwing kicks, and Robin was like bobbing and weaving, but he couldn't get him.
Yeah,
it was like they made it a draw. But Robin didn't get close to him.
But Bruce Lee didn't go for that at all, man. He had told them, he was like, man, y'all crazy if y'all think I'm gonna stick around for this kind of.
Like you said, Bruce Lee was breaking. He was groundbreaking for Asian actors. Like, take us serious. We're not just gonna be delivery boys and, you know, Charlie Chan type of you know, we're not that. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Shout out to Bruce Lee, man. He said, I ain't doing that. I ain't jobbing. Get out of here.
And one more thing to share about that with the Green Hornet. Back then when they did TV series, I think it was like 26 episodes, you know, for a season or something like that. And after the first few episodes of the show, Van Williams, who they were trying to turn into the next heartthrob off of TV, you know, he wasn't getting too much fanfare off of that. All the fanfare was coming for Bruce Lee. Mm-hmm. And the directors and producers of the show, they were like, this ain't right, you know? So basically, they took the show off the air. It wasn't, they claimed that the ratings were bad. Dude, the ratings weren't bad. People were rushing home. Do you remember how we used to talk about rushing home to watch Speed Racer and stuff like that? Yes. That's how kids in America were doing. They wanted to rush home and watch the Green Hornet. They wanted to see what Kato was going to do next. Bruce Lee was offered an opportunity to open a chain of Kato martial arts schools. This is how big that was. But Bruce didn't want to prostitute his art. Yeah. He was very serious about that. So he turned that down. But the show was taken off the air because Kato, the Asian sidekick, was more popular than the American so-called star of the show, Van Williams. Now, Van Williams, he was just happy to be on TV, of course, and everything. But this was the climate of the country at that time. You can't have an Asian guy being the most popular guy on TV. So we got to take the show down. That's how they thought. Wow. That's how they thought. So when you're seeing somebody on there, My Crazy Asians TV show and stuff now, that's like 60 years later now. Think about that. And even when they do that show, they have those people on there kind of doing some things that are really disrespectful to their own culture and everything, but they're just happy to be on TV. Guess what? Bruce Lee wouldn't go for that. He wouldn't go for that at all. And he told those people that. Yeah. So that's just a little bit of trivia for you guys to let you know what was what with that.
Shout out to Bruce Lee, man.
And that's why, you know, not to cut you, but just to say this, that's why he was so popular with so many different demographics of people, man.
Yep.
And different communities of people, because he broke a barrier that there's somebody outside of that Western Caucasian male, you know, be out there like that. So, yeah. So salute to my brother, 78 Sports TV, out there with the super chat. He says, y'all know I had to pull up with 78.
Episode 78. It just dawned on me.
Yeah, right? Salute to you, General. Appreciate you, bro.
Well, to continue on my my specific collections, I told y'all that I like survival horror video games. The genre of survival horror video games. When the first Resident Evil, and this is something I'll do on Bad Cave, I'll do the Resident Evil timeline. It's actually in depth. The original Resident Evil came out like in 96, 97. I forget. But when I first purchased it for the first PlayStation, it was made by fans. And yeah, of course, it had a lot of Japanese influence, right? But what was dope was, it's called Biohazard in Japan, but it's called Resident Evil in America. You didn't know what as the characters, you didn't know what you was dealing with because of the name of it. You didn't know whether it was like mystical, if you was dealing with something that was mystical. You find out later in the game as you play the game that it's biological, but they didn't keep the name Biohazard in America. They just called it, you know, oh, he's asking if I ever played a Friday the 13th. Hell yeah, I had it. I had the Friday the 13th game on Nintendo. Jason was a mother effer, man. You're in the boat and he's flying by and hitting you and stuff, man. I hated that, man. Oh my God, I hated that game, but I played the hell out of it. Hell yeah, I had it. But Resident Evil, it brought you back because it had B-movie type of horror in it. You gotta understand, Nintendo went through an era where they were playing clean. Like we had violence, like fighting games, there was no blood. When Mortal Kombat came out for the Nintendo, it was actually, for the Super Nintendo, it was actually a better product, graphic-wise, because for whatever reason, it was a little better. But there was no blood in it, right? When they released the same game for the Sega Genesis, it was all the blood. So my boy went out and had both. He bought both. With me, fast forward years later, I just use the Mortal Kombat as an example. When I played Resident Evil, I was stunned. You're actually shooting zombies and their heads are popping and their sound effects. The guns didn't sound fake. I said, that's really a Beretta sound. I know how a Beretta sounds. I said, that's really a Beretta sound. That's really a Colt. That's like a Colt Python gun. I said, damn. You know, and it was violent, and I appreciated it. And it was B-movie violence. Those B-movies were super violent. So I'm not going to talk about the whole thing, but this right here is one of the best ones. Resident Evil 5. It's one of the best ones. I still play this game. The story mode is ridiculous. It's 2 players. But the story mode is great. But me and my boy, we played a Mercenaries mode. Resident Evil 5. You can go on YouTube and pull it up. Let me share this screen with the still shots, since you know, y'all know YouTube is on some schmuckery. If you could pull that up, Stormy. This is Resident Evil 5 characters. That's Sheva. This takes place in Africa. And let me sidestep on this for a second. You mofos, because they want to remake this. They remade Resident Evil 1s through 3. No, 1s through 4. And they want to remake 5. Let me tell y'all something. If y'all don't allow this to happen, forget you guys, man. Everyone's talking about, oh, it's racist because they want to kill Africans. The first 4 or 5 games all took place in America. You was killing white zombies all over the place. What are you talking about? Resident Evil 4 took place in like Spain somewhere. Not in Africa. I don't care. They got some nice black characters that actually make it to the end of the game. Stop playing with us, man. Stop doing that. But this game has a lot of replay value. I ain't gonna take you through all of it, but because it's an in-depth story. But I love the mercenaries mode. Stormy, there's this chick right here. Because you play the game through. You could play it as Chris Redfield, or you could play it as Sheva, his partner in this. You gotta beat it twice to unlock certain things. Yo, when I first played this, right? They have what you call melee attacks. She will grab you from behind and take out her knife and slit your throat. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I said, I love this game. I love this game. It is super violent and I love it. But that mercenaries mode, man, me and my boy, we playing like we ain't got nothing to do. We popped the game in, and man, this game is incredible. Plus they met her little bad chick too. She a little baddie. It's super violent. That's just how I like it. This is a sub game. The mercenaries mode, Stormy, is a sub game within the game. It's like you got to kill as many characters as you can before the time run out, or if the boss don't kill you. You know, so there's playable characters from throughout the game. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of fun. It's a bunch of fun. Let me see. You know, I ain't even gonna do it, but the melee attacks on here is what's doing. The melee attacks are violent, man. You step on people, their heads blow up, cut their throats. Barry headbutts you and your head pops. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But the storyline is legitimate. And I love it. It's survival horror. You know what I'm saying? And plus, if the monsters get a hold of you, they can do anything from eat your face off, the chainsaw, they'll saw you in half. It's violent, man. It's violent. And I love this game, man. I love this game. Resident Evil 4 was hard. Resident Evil 4 was hard, but when 5 came out, the mercenaries mode was ridiculous, man. The mercenaries mode was ridiculous. Let me see something. Let me see something real quick, Stormy. Let me see something. Cause let me try and do something right here. I just want to I just want to check this out. Okay, that's the kick. Because I gotta show y'all, because a lot of y'all not into games and stuff. Okay. Play this. It's like 2 seconds. Just this part right here. It's like 2 seconds. It's a melee attack. Because when I saw this is what got me hooked on the game right here. Y'all see this? Now watch this, y'all. She is hard body karate for this. Boom! Come on now. Come on now. She is not playing no games. She just cut his throat. Man, this game is hard, man. This game, man, I play it to this day, and all the characters got these special melee moves. Man, it's crazy, but Sheva, and they got different guns and grenades, and the monsters are ridiculous, and they took elements from Stormy. You'll see things in this game, and you'll be like, they got that from, this is inspired by, and just pick a movie. Like, man, this is inspired by such and such, man. The Blob is in this game. The goddamn Blob. It's like crazy, man. This is great. But those chainsaw deaths are the worst things I've ever seen, man. Because they're long. They're drug out. The chain will hit you and you start screaming, and then the guy just saw you in half and walk off. I'm like, God damn. Yo. And the other thing was, I'm playing the game, right? And my father was sitting there. You know, I guess he was talking to my sister or something. And he looked at the screen, and I shot one of the characters that was trying to kill me, and it was a woman. And her head blew up. My father stopped. He said, "Was that a woman?" I said, "Yeah." You know, my pop's old school. He said, "That was a woman." I said, "Dad, when they were making this game, they were considering putting kids in this thing." I said, "Man, that's too much. You can't be killing kids." But it's a virus, and, you know, everyone gets got. You know what I'm saying? But that game is amazing. It has a lot of replay value. A lot of replay value, man. If you're not going to play it, you can watch these, because people upload the whole game on YouTube. It's like watching a damn movie. They do what they call speed runs. So look at Resident Evil 5 and just watch the whole game through and be amazed. And then you can watch people play the Mercenaries mode, something that I'll be doing on Bear Cave. And I'm also going to play through Fight Night Champion. As soon as I figure out how to do it online, I'm going to play the whole game through, because I'm nice with it. And by the way, nobody wants no smoke with me on Fight Night Champion. I'm that guy. But anyway, Resident Evil 5. Yes, sir. Uh-oh.
Yeah, all of this is just amazing, man, that we could get into these various avenues of entertainment and culture.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting is I have a few video games myself, and I typically leaned toward the sport games. I had NFL game, NBA game, and a boxing game, but that was kind of like a thing for me. Like, I could, you know, blow off some steam, or, you know, it's like decompress through playing. And I found that worked for me. I haven't played anything in a while, but that's what I would do. And then when I would play for stretches at a time, couple weeks at a time. You know, I'm at it almost every day. And then I put it down, then I go back to it. But again, what that shows is that whole thing that I have in me about, one, not letting the child go away, you know, that's in me, the inner child, but also using the material for what it's really for. And it's funny because I have the interest of the hobbies of music, movies, books, games, things like that. And to be able to be diverse, you go with this for a little bit, go with that a little bit. Because like a couple of years ago, you know, because CDs are pretty much going away, right? So like you could catch some old CDs that when they were prominent, they cost like $40 or $39 or $28. And like some of them are like $2.99 and stuff now. So I was like a few years ago, I was loading up on some CDs that I had, you know, always wanted to get. And you know, we were talking the other day about the Beats with Sugar show, and I had wanted to do a show on D-Train, you know, because we mentioned D-Train while we were doing this show. Dude, I found a D-Train CD a few years ago. I got it off of Amazon. I think I paid like $6 for it, but it's got all of D-Train's hits on there, the whole CD. I was like, man, you know, and you know, I got a little setup, you know, so when I put it on my system, that stuff sounds excellent. You know what I mean? So it's like to be able to go back and play that stuff. It's just, you guys have no idea. I even picked up a couple of CDs where Gil Scott-Heron, man.
Ah,
I got like this. It's like an anthology of Gil Scott-Heron and his most prominent works.
Whitey on the Moon.
Dude, that is awesome. And I happened to run across it, and I'm like, I think I should get this because this ain't gonna be around too long.
Right.
So I picked it up. The collector in me just went straight at it. And I listened to a little bit of it when I first bought it. And I just sat there and I was smiling to myself because that's what it's all about. Right. That's what it's all about. Yep.
Rat done bit my sister Nell. Whitey on the Moon. Yeah, I recited that poem on one of my videos a couple of years ago. I remember that. But if y'all don't know where I got that from, that was Gil Scott-Heron. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Oh, as a point of information, those Bruce Lee books you got, if you're done like reading it, get some airtight bagging to suck the air out of it so that it doesn't deteriorate anymore. If you're done like reading it and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, a buddy of mine, he has a book like that. It's I forgot what magazine, but what he did was he scanned all of the pages front and back, right? And then he took the actual magazine and he airtight the magazine so it doesn't get any air on it, but all the scanned pictures is on his hard drive. And he also printed them out on glossy paper, and he just put it in a loose leaf. So it's the actual magazine, but the actual pictures from the magazine, but the actual magazine is in an airtight bag. It's airtight. And damn, what magazine was that? I forget. But that's what he was doing.
Yeah, working my way back around to talking about him a little more. This publication I picked up in 1978. Remember how I told you we used to have a game room that was across the street from the theater?
Yeah.
And everything, and everybody used to go. And then I told you there was a little store next to the game room that they used to sell martial arts weapons, and the Bruce Lee Game of Death tracksuit was hanging in the window and stuff. Yeah. We had, and I'm sure you guys had shops like that in New York because it's like that.
Oh, yeah. Forget about it. Oh, yeah.
This book right here, Who Killed Bruce Lee? That's just a weird title that they put on the book, but another book about him, and it's a hardcover. This that you see is a protective cover over the book,
right?
Where the protective cover, the book still looks the same, and this was a very good book by the creators of the UK publication Kung Fu Monthly. It says it here at the bottom. From the creators, the editors of Kung Fu Monthly. And one of the things about this book that was pretty cool was it gave us more information on what transpired like around his last hours, and like what happened immediately after his death and how things were handled, which really made it look like there was something missing. There was information missing. And a lot of people were just, in America, them telling us he died from cerebral edema and not knowing what caused it, having an allergic reaction to a painkiller, all of that. Yeah, okay. But I remember hearing certain things about him when he first passed away that was never really repeated. Like, and I shared this with you in a private conversation, like when he was originally found and taken to the hospital, there was some mysterious packets of white powder on him.
Now listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. Because Young Hollywood says he still don't know how Bruce Lee died. Now there's conflicting stories. Now go ahead. Yeah.
And that information came out very early in the situation, but then it was never to be mentioned again after that. But just a few years ago, an auction came across some letters that he had correspondence with one of his former students and a gentleman who played in one of his films, Bob Baker, the gentleman that played the Russian guy Petrov in Fist of Fury. Bob Baker was Bruce Lee's drug supplier. He was from America, and Bruce, according to the letters, because this right there is his handwriting, it's both of their correspondence. Even his widow, Linda, was known to have written some things as well. He had a bad cocaine habit, you guys. And it wasn't always. It was during those last few months of his life. I don't know if it was the pressures of fame, if it was the pressures of external influences that were trying to become more intrusive in his life because he was over there and they do things a little bit differently over there, organized crime. But he was using so much to the degree that in one of the letters he talked about purchasing a scale. Now, we don't know if that meant that he might have had an intent to distribute. And he had everything in his childhood friend and butler's name, Wu Ingen. Wu Ingen, anything that came to Bruce's home from the U.S. or whatever was always addressed to him. And I guess that was because, in case it was found, Wu, the butler did it, would take the fall. But if you guys do not know one thing about using cocaine, especially if you happen to be a person who has low body fat, cocaine can cause cerebral edema, people. It can cause it. It can be a direct result. And there was something that Bruce had done, reportedly, allegedly, within the last months of his life that could have helped attribute it to these things. And that was he had the sweat glands removed from his armpits.
Yeah.
Now, you know, your sweat glands serve a purpose, and that is to release toxins from your body. If you have
that's why you're not supposed to use antiperspirant.
If you have them removed, then toxins can't release. Water retention can happen. And guess where the water retention will happen most impactfully? The cranium.
Yep.
And we're talking about the early 70s where people did a lot of weird stuff, man. They did weird stuff. But it's very unfortunate that his death could have been very accidental, you know? And maybe had he been in the U.S., the eccentric approach to how he did things could have been curbed by people who were more in the know. You know, they could, hey man, you don't want to do that because this or that. But over there, can't nobody tell him nothing because he was the #1 star. He was bigger than anything and everything over there at the time.
And that's the problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But and then there were people that didn't want to see him leave Hong Kong too, because that's what his next ambition was, to leave. he wanted to do what you ended up seeing Jackie Chan do. Make a movie or two in Hong Kong, then come over here and make a movie or two, but reside here. He wanted to reside in the US. And there were people over there that said that, hey, even if you go back to Hollywood, you're still taking us with you because, you know, we've entered this business agreement. And knowing how he was as a person, he was very defiant. So there's a number of things that bring about a mystery, but just know that initially a story had come out that there were these mysterious white packets of powder on him, on his person, when he was brought into the hospital.
It's messed up, man.
Yeah,
that's messed up. Well, you know, it's crazy. I think we got time for one more, right? Days Gone. This right here, it's not Resident Evil, but it's survival horror on a different level. Post-apocalyptic, a virus is released into the world, and we're basically back to the Stone Age, fighting over food, gasoline, and there's different colonies and stuff like that. And this character right here is collecting bounties for people that are doing like bad shit throughout the game. It's free roaming. He rides a Harley. But this game is a hell of a lot different from Resident Evil because you have to like create weapons. I want to show, let me see. I just want to show just one little itty bitty pit. I want to maybe do like 5 seconds of this guy running from these. They're not zombies. They're infected humans that are just like, you know what they're like? They're like the zombies from what's the Will Smith film? The Will Smith movie, the remake that he made with help me out, chat. I always forget the name of the damn movie. I Am Legend. Thank you. They're like them. Let me. I'm sorry. And when I saw this, because this is a little bit of what they showed at the E3, and I said I gotta have this game. This is actual gameplay. Look at this, Stormy. Look at this. He went to find this guy. He goes to find this guy. And they fell, and now he's bleeding, and these freakers, they call them freakers, and now trying to chase him. He says, oh, well, you on your own. Watch this. Look at this. This is the gameplay. You gotta run. Look at that. Look how many of them. This is gameplay, Stormy.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Look at this. Oh my God. Brother. I'm all about that. The music kicks in and he's hauling ass and you gotta run around and the thing with these games, anything that's a barrel in red, that means it blows up. You shoot that, it stops them. It's like playing through a damn movie, and those things are running after you, making these weird noises like it's creepy as hell. You walk into their domain, and when they go to sleep, they're standing up, but they huddled up together. They're just standing there, and you gotta be quiet going around them. And this game is creepy, but I love it. Now you got to get a minute here. Now they breaking through the damn. Look at this. See that barrel? That means it blows up. Boom. I want to get to this part right here. Oh man. I want to get to the part where he tries to get through. Is it right here? Gotta use grenades and stuff. There was a part where I think I went by it. Was it here? All right, this is how the demo ends right here. This is how the demo ends. Watch this. This is the demo. Look. Come on. Come on. Man, listen.
It shouldn't be called Days Gone. It should be called He's Gone.
He's gone. Man, when that dropped, I said, yo. So my wife went out and bought me that. It's fun. It has a lot of replay value, man. And yeah, Mike 202, you got to collect the ears to everything is trade like that. It's like Mad Max meets Walking Dead. It's a great game, man. It's a great game, man. It's a great game. I love it, man. Survival horror, man. Now you see, it's already 10:25 out here. You see how fast the damn show went?
Yeah, man. This is what happens. It's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. Final thoughts, bro.
It's my favorite game of all time, y'all. Fight Night Champion. All right. If you haven't got it, I don't think it's available for download on PS4 or 5 yet. I don't know why. All right. Because if you still got a PS3 like me and your PS3 ain't acting up, get this game. It actually has ESPN commentary on it. Like I said, I want to play the game through on Bear Cave because I'm that nice with it. Nobody wants no smoke with me on that. I might bring the game to the meetup and see who wants it. You know what I mean? But great show as always, man. And time flies when you're having fun, man. This is the collector's edition part 2, man. Love this, man. This is great.
Big time. But yeah, man, we're going to get on out of here. I appreciate you, man. We can come back with another one of these because I still got more collectibles to share. I just wanted, and I told Drew before we went live, as far as my Bruce Lee books, I only shared like 3 or 4 of them there, but I've got like over 16 of them, you guys, that I picked up throughout the years. So got a wealth of information on that, man. But yeah, it is what it is. But great show. Glad to be here. Glad to participate in this, and glad that you all were here for the ride. Salute to the general that came through with the super chat and the endorsement of the show. And we will catch you guys again next Monday. And I can let you guys know that it's going to be another good one. We're talking about the original Black Samurai, Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly.
So salute to everybody. Take that energy on over to Pep Talk. Drew is coming up with that in just a couple of minutes. So peace and shout out to the mighty LDBC. We out of here, guys. Peace.
Yes, sir.